promised we will look into it. Yes, I'm aware that it's an election year. Keep a hold of your hat, Counselor. Now is not the time to lose your nerve. It would appear that someone has hocked a rose gold wedding ring and matching engagement ring. Sound familiar?
Deirdre Muller.
Press the pawnbroker and see what you can find out. The address is 348 South Main Street. The Muller case goes before the grand jury next week, and the DA does not want any egg on his face. Then get out to the railroad depot on Santa Fe Avenue. We have another poor unfortunate found this morning beside a railroad line. 40-year-old white woman.
Right, Skipper.
I used to be indecisive. Now,
Primeiramente, o que a mulher quer no meio dos trilhos com os trem passando? Tipo,
Another
ok.
body and Deirdre Muller's ring. The Emperor may soon have to come to terms with the fact that he's wearing no clothes.
Exactly. Did you get that book of riddles shoved up your ass, Phelps? Is that what your old man paid college tuition for?
Isn't that the cop who won the medal in solving
Mano, a
all
mulher é
cases?
louca, simplesmente. Ah, vou andar no meio da parada aqui, azar. Tipo, o trem estava passando, caralho. A porra de um trem. Ela toda loucaça ainda. Óbvio que iria dar merda. Se não fosse alguém querendo matar, ela seria atropelada pelo trem. Ela tava loucona, mano.
You've got to admit, this is looking odd.
Anyone could pawn a ring.
But if you take it along with all of the other indicators,
Hold on. Hugo Moeller was identified by the school's groundkeeper. He's our guy.
witnesses have fingered the wrong guy before.
He ran, for God's sake.
And he always maintained he was set up.
Tá, vamos lá. Vamos pegar o anel do maluco aí. O cara tá achando que é o Sauron pra querer anéis.
How can I help you boys?
Caralho, vende pouco de tudo, né? É, lojinha de penhor, né?
Detectives Phelps and Galloway, LAPD. You have a rose gold wedding and engagement ring?
David Bremner. Am I gonna get something for this pledge? Gave that bum money, now you guys are gonna leave me short.
How much did you give him?
$50?
Try another number.
20?
Try 10. Feel lucky you're getting it.
I have the rings right here.
Tá.
What's this mark here?
Maker's mark. Usually traceable. That one came from Hartfield's Jewelry down on Broadway.
Thanks for the tip.
Ah, ok. Vamos no outro, então.
Does this mark mean anything?
22 quilates.
Gives you an idea of the quality.
Uma coisa eu sei sobre essas paradas aí.
What have you got on the guy who brought these in?
Goes by the name of Percy B. Shelley. Gave an address. 15 Poland Street, London, Tulare County.
Can you give us a description of the man who pawned these rings?
Not sure. Medium height, medium build. Dark hair, I think. Sorry. He just had one of those forgettable faces.
We'll be in touch, Mr. Bremner.
Não era bonitão? Nem nada? Ok. Voltamos a estaca zero. Tá. Localizações. Tarará, tarará. Penhor não tem nada, não. Vamos lá, então, pra parada de trem. Ai, tomara que a mulher não seja pelada de novo. Ai, eu não quero censurar. Dá muito trabalho, dá preguiça. Pô, podia ter dado passada, né, filho? Caramba, eu sou polícia.
We have a problem.
We could have the local troopers check out the Tulare County address.
The address is bogus. Herb is having fun with us. The guy who's been sending the Dahlia letters is also the guy who pawned these rings.
How do you figure that?
Percy Bysshe Shelley wrote the poem that came with the Dahlia letter. The Dahlia letters are genuine. The man who killed Elizabeth Short may have also killed Deirdre Mullen.
And how do we prove that, Bill? Skipper ain't gonna like this one bit.
We're gonna have to rely on this guy tripping up on his own vanity.
Any central unit, car 16 L reports a possible jump.
Viu, né? A mulher quase jogou na frente do carro. Não fui eu. Eu respeito a sinaleira? Obviamente não, mas deveria respeitar a autoridade. Sou polícia. Não é que os caras vão respeitar, né? Os caras voltam e mesmo e fecham, foda-se, porque... Ih, passei, me empolguei. Me empolguei. Calma, tô voltando. Tô voltando, me empolguei. Caralho. Onde cacete é isso? Ah. Aqui. Aqui? Ué. Cadê a entrada dessa porra aqui? Ok? Que isso, porra? Eu quero entrar, filho. Ah, tá. Era só bater. Ah, tá. Desculpa. Eu pensei que ia abrir automático. Não tinha tecnologia suficiente pra isso ainda. Agora, do nada, e pá, um trem no meu carro. Muito que bem. Totalmente perdidaça no mapa, né? Mas ok, acontece.
You boys ready? Follow me.
We should keep this development with the rings under our hat until we speak with the captain.
We're all on the same team, Rusty.
Chain of command, Phelps. The skipper will decide who needs to know. Got it?
I get it, Rusty.
Ah, é cortar a porra do diálogo. Ai, não esteja pelado. Puta que pariu, tá pelada. Não tá? Sucesso, então.
Hard, isn't it?
Yeah. I look after all the rail depots.
A roupa dela é clara, né?
The Negro, Nelson Gaines, called it in. I came down here to make sure him and the other guy, Jameson, stuck around.
Jameson found the body?
Something like that. Guy makes me sick.
We'll talk to the coroner. Keep an eye on both of them.
O porquê que ele te deixa doente? Oi? Tá. Pera aí. Vamos ver aqui a bolsinha. Tá. Hope that this lady finds you in a better way. Tá.
Someone was trying to get her to come home. We could go over to the lot and see what they know about her.
That's going to be difficult, Cole.
Por quê?
Keystone Studio lot closed back in 41.
Ah, tá. Entendi. Aí complica um pouquinho, né? Todo mundo nesse jogo curte um bar, né? Puta merda. Vira, porra. Vira!
Maybe someone at Mensch's will remember her.
Evelyn
This
Summers.
is a chit for personal items, not booze. It's not even worth investigating.
Clothes. Tarará. Que letra horrível, hein? Caramba. Tá. Tem mais alguma coisa aqui? Antes de ver o corpo.
What have we got here?
White female, approximately 40 years of age, lipstick smudges on the face, but no writing, at least nothing legible. A blunt force trauma to the temple, nose, and eye regions. Ligature marks point to the probable cause of death being strangulation.
Any idea of the time of death?
From her temperature, after midnight would be my guess.
Vamos ver, né?
Smell?
Very good. There is the usual evacuation smell, but it appears she's been living rough for quite some time.
Very strong smell of alcohol.
Well, the autopsy will tell, but I would assume that she was inebriated.
Vida de miséria. Ah, mas as roupas dela não tá tão cagada assim pra, sei lá, vida de miséria. Falta outro
Another
anel.
missing ring.
Certainly seems I've been swabbing a lot of bare fingers recently.
Can you be more exact about the time of death?
No later than 2 a.m. The state the body was in, a 1 or 2 hour window is the best I can do.
Tá, essa mãozinha aqui nada demais. Não tem mais nada aqui no corpo, né? E esse sangue aqui. Oh, querido, deixa eu passar, por favor. Para com o flash, por favor.
Blood splatter on the carriage. She
Yeah.
must have been struck while standing up.
E no chão, tu não vai... Olha o chão, caralho. Tem porra de uma mancha enorme no chão. Tu não vai olhar a porra do chão. Eu não vou olhar a porra do chão. O chão, meu filho. O chão, velho.
Nice day for it.
What are you thinking, Ray?
The city keeps tossing us dead bodies. We're just running to catch up.
Tá. Vamos falar contigo.
Detective Phelps, LAPD homicide.
John Ferdinand Jameson.
We need you to answer some questions, John.
If you don't mind, I prefer Ferdinand.
Don't push your luck, knucklehead.
What were you doing to the body, Ferdinand?
Are you sure you won't be upset?
Try me, Ferdinand.
I was kissing her.
Que doente, filho da
It's not against the
puta.
law.
Shut up.
There's no
Take
law
your
against
beating
it.
like a man.
Turn out your pockets, Ferdinand.
Que maluco doente, mano. Mereceu o soco.
Classic Carmine.
Meio detonado, né?
Is this yours, Ferdinand?
No. I found it near her purse. I thought she could use some lipstick.
Rusty, stop! Don't hit him. You went through her purse?
It wasn't like she needed it. I took a look.
You found her lipstick. What did you write on her body?
What are you talking about? I didn't write anything.
Tá, calma. Puta que pariu.
You found the body?
Yes, I did. I work here. I was coming off shift and headed home.
Mentira, né? Ou dúvida? Acho que dúvida.
Why didn't you report the body, Jameson? Do you know how this is going to look to a jury?
A jury? What gives? I could tell that she was dead. I came through here about midnight last night. She wasn't here then.
Let me belt him again.
You're under arrest, Jameson. We'll see how this plays out. Until then, you can think a little on how you'd like to be treated if you were found dead.
I'm telling you, it's not illegal. Me and some friends of mine...
Tu é um puta de um doente, mano.
You get this sack of shit into a cell, I'll deal with him later.
Sure, Rusty.
Tá certo o maluco dizer que tava com nojo. O maluco é doentão, mano. Necrófilo do caralho.
Detective Phelps and Galloway, homicide. Can you tell me exactly what happened?
We were shutting cars over to the main line when I saw this man here lying on top of this woman. The woman wasn't moving and seemed to be in a bad way.
What time was this?
About 7:30 this morning, sir.
Thanks for your help. Have you given Patrolman Hart your details?
I have, sir.
Thank you. You can go now.
Ó, cara, o cara sim foi útil, mano. Vou dar a voltinha pra ver se tem alguma pegada do outro lado, né? Tem alguma coisa aqui? Não. Quer saber, né, porra? Os caras aqui, eles não se ajudam muito. Olha que jogo sacana. Ó. Cara, tem uma puta de uma mancha de sangue. Não tem nada aqui pra ver. Segundo jogo. Tá bom, né? Tá bom. Telefonar? Então tá.
Phelps, badge 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need an address on Levine's Liquor. Closest store to the Santa Fe Avenue rail yard, if possible.
Just a moment, Detective. Closest store would be the one at 939 South Hope Street.
Thanks.
Bora. Localizações para bar. Vamos primeiro no bar, né? Pra ver no que dá. Já que pegamos a primeira pista do bar, vamos fazer na ordem, né? Vamos pegar o poçante. Cola aí, minha parça. Agora onde é a saída disso daqui?
Read that those goddamn Chinese want to sell the relief food that we're sending them?
Yeah, I read about that.
People are starving. They can't do that.
Want to sell the food to fund the civil war against the communists.
Really? Guess that's okay then.
Armies can't fight without food. You spend all your money on weapons, but you still have to have the will to fight. Fortunately, the Reds will win in China.
Watch your mouth. You know what you're saying?
The people of this country overthrew a king. You think the Chinese will balk at an emperor if they are starving?
Não vou responder porra nenhuma, sai fora. Chato pra caralho. Bate de levinho, tá suave então. Vamos, poçante. Podia ser mais rápido, hein?
Whoa there.
Ah, essa manobra foi foda, tem que admitir. Essa foi pica. Vamos lá, então. Calma, onde fica esse negócio? Pra cá. Vamos lá. Esse carro é meio merda, né? Mas é o que temos, aparentemente. O jogo não vai me dar outro tão cedo. Nem tem outros tão melhores que ele. Por que eu tô me acostumando com ele? Tá. Em cima, então. Ah, sai fora. E não reclamo que eu bati.
Drink, fellas.
Phelps, Galloway, homicide. We need to ask you some questions concerning Evelyn Summers.
I'm Walter Mensch. Evelyn Summers, what is it now?
You knew Evelyn?
As well as I wanted to know Evelyn. She's a pain in the ass, always coming in here, cadging drinks, never had any money. She was in just a couple of nights ago.
Did she ever tell you where she was staying?
I don't know. I think she was living rough. She had that kind of stunk about her.
Who did she drink with?
A bunch of these guys. Ask around.
Ah, mano, a mulher tá morta, você vai falar desse jeito dela.
What's your name?
Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Mind if I ask you some questions, Mr. McCaffrey?
I'm just a starving writer, detective. What do you want to ask about?
Evelyn Summers, and why she was found beaten and strangled in the rail depot on Santa Fe.
Okay. I see your point.
How well did you know her?
I can't say that I knew her. It was more like I was aware of her.
Did you see Evelyn last night?
No, I was at home, writing.
Dúvida, hein?
Do you want to get dragged into this, McCaffrey? Do you want us to get interested in you?
She hung out with this powder puff, James Tiernan. They haunted the public library together.
How well do you know James Tiernan?
I know he works some kind of plebeian job at Rawlings Bowling Alley.
Homofóbico desgraçado.
I know that place. Corner of 9th and Grand. A lot of cops bowl there on Tuesday nights.
Do you have a criminal record, Mr. McCaffrey?
Nothing serious. I've had a few skirmishes.
You want to save me some time, or do you want me to look up your file?
Industrial disputes, strikes, workers' rights, that kind of thing.
A regular fifth columnist. Nice to meet you, comrade.
Thank you for the information, Mr. McCaffrey.
E tu não tem nada pra falar, não?
The regulars might have something else to tell you, but I don't.
Sim, os atendentes sempre têm. Qual foi?
You a friend of Evelyn Summers?
Who's asking?
Very cute. You know who's asking.
I know my rights.
You don't have any. Answer the question.
Evelyn mooches for drinks. I don't have any time for that.
Was that so hard?
Keep writing me, copper.
Que velho chato. Vamos lá então vazar. Ah, calma, jogo. Peraí, tem mais coisa no bar? Peraí, então. Peraí, vamos com calma. Se tem mais coisa, vamos com calma. O que mais pode ter aqui? Tá, não tem mais nada pra falar com esse maluco. Nada no banheiro. Aqui atrás, se pá. Alguém aqui atrás? Não. Ué. No lixo. Tá, o jogo tá dizendo que tem mais alguma coisa aqui. Porra, eu tô com... Fica paradinho, eu tô finzona de gastar, viu? Tô finzona de gastar mais um. Tem um porão aqui embaixo. Intuição. Constituição... Não tem como. Ah. Não tem como mostrar todas as pistas. Mas que eu tava finzona, tava.
If you don't mind, I'm trying to grasp a very elusive thought.
Nada nesse lixo aí, não? Ventilador de teto? Não. Escadaria? Lá em cima? Porra, nada mesmo? Beleza, então vamos vazar. Tentei. Agora sim, loja de licor.
What did you make of McCaffrey?
There'll come a day, and it's coming very soon. We'll run him and the rest of his pinko buddies out of Los Angeles.
I meant as a suspect, Rusty.
Continua o diálogo, velho. Que merda. Paramos aí, no grau, na contramão, mas o jogo me colocou na mão certa, tá bom? Bom jogo.
What can I do for you?
LAPD, Phelps and Galloway. We're making inquiries into the murder of Evelyn Summers.
Evelyn? She's dead?
You knew Evelyn Summers, Mr.
Robbins. Yes, I knew Evelyn. I was a good friend of her ex-husband. She kept some of her stuff here.
Can you show us, please?
Sure. Come this way.
Suspeito, hein? Suspeito. Estranho.
Fine stock here, Mr. Robin. Well, you let us take some for the road, this case might get solved a lot quicker.
Olha o maluco, os papos do maluco.
He's joking, Mr. Robbins.
She kept a bed here, but I probably shouldn't have let her. An alcoholic in a liquor store. That was never going to work out, was it?
É verdade.
We'll take a look around.
Agora temos um bom ponto.
Rollins Bowling Alley. Maybe Evelyn did something other than drink in her spare time. I'm guessing Evelyn hadn't held down a job for quite some time before she was killed.
Bom, talvez se não tivesse dado certo o papo com o maluco lá, estaria aí.
Exactly did Evelyn work in the pictures?
A few years ago. She worked in legal copyrights for music.
Entendi. Ela tem filha? Coitada, tem filho e tá na miséria. Será que é por causa do marido? Ó. Vamos primeiro aqui, o que é isso?
Evelyn was reading Aristotle?
Evelyn wasn't stupid. The only stupid thing about her was her need to drink.
And she was borrowing books from Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Quem caralho é Grosvenor McCaffrey?
She wasn't always such a loner.
É. Pois é. Não, não. Não, jogou.
What now?
Question the owner. He must know something.
Vamos lá, então. Oi, brother. Será que tem mais uma coisa? Caralho, FPS. Vamos ficar no grau. Estabiliza. FPS? Por que tu tá morrendo, meu filho? Contato com a
We're
vítima.
trying to account for Evelyn's movements yesterday.
She came by in the morning.
A social visit to pick up some of her things?
She had a couple of bucks and bought a quart of rye.
Tá, ele não parece estar mentindo.
Any idea where the money came from?
She didn't mention it, but she did say the booze was a present for a boy. She said they had been fighting and she had to make it up to him.
Were you and Evelyn close, Mr. Robbins?
Not many people will be sad she's gone. I'll be one of the few.
We got the impression that Evelyn had been sleeping rough of late.
It became difficult for me to have her staying here. Her mother was trying to get her back on the straight and narrow. She's old now. And to be honest, you have to have a good reason to want to get back on.
Do you know a friend of Evelyn's by the name of McCaffrey?
Not personally.
You sure you don't know McCaffrey? The book was in your room.
I would have thought it was pretty obvious the book was among Evelyn's things. You think you have some way to link me to McCaffrey?
Não, que isso, relaxa.
It's nothing personal. I'm just doing my job. You understand that?
Eu estou com medo de colocar dúvida, velho.
We're struggling for leads, Robbins. Did she know McCaffrey?
She idolized him.
Ah, era dúvida mesmo.
From what I gather, the feeling was far from mutual. He seems to peddle a revolutionary stance, fixing the ills of society. You could see how it would appeal to down-and-outs like Evelyn.
Thanks for your help, Mr. Robbins.
No problem. Hey, I'd like to make arrangements for the funeral. You think I could get in touch with Evelyn's mother?
Put in a call to the watch commander at Central Station, Mr. Robbins. He'll be trying to reach the next of kin.
Thanks. Get the guy, huh? Evelyn never hurt anybody.
Beleza, brother. Vamos fazer justiça. Ele é um cara legal. Gostei dele. Genuinamente. Police rolling.
11 King.
Agora espera.
11 King, enter out. Let's not keep the man waiting, Phelps.
Eu sou obrigada aí mesmo? Entendi. Entendi, então cancelou tudo, eu sou obrigada a ir lá. Podia estar na puta que pariu, eu teria que voltar na delegacia. Entendi. Não quero. Quando a pessoa é boa na direção, é isso, né? Eu sou o Toretto desse jogo. Toretto no... Ele é Noire. Vamos lá. Tá porra, tirotei. Parece minha vizinhança. Olha o Toretto aqui de novo. Toretto em ação. Não atropelei ninguém, só pra deixar claro. Ainda bom! Eu sempre esqueço que aqui é uma via fechada. E só, sei lá, a porra de uma escada pra descer. Eu sempre vou descer na escada, óbvio, né? O carro que lute. Lá. Ah, mano. Dá uma puta de uma volta só por causa disso. Ah, vá merda. Sem tempo, irmão. Sem tempo. O carro vai se regenerar mesmo? É a Christine? Aqui? Ah, tá. Obrigado por ter aberto pra mim, que eu não sabia jamais. Eu sempre perco nisso aqui. Isso aqui é tudo um bando de salinha minúscula. E aí? Qual a merda que deu?
Ray and Mal have some concerns over the Henry and Muller cases, which I don't want aired outside of this room.
The evidence is solid, Captain.
I agree, Rusty. It's just that corpses keep piling up.
Copycats.
I've been banging the same drum. But the notes and the lipstick messages.
Evelyn Summers, Cartel Classic Carmine. Each woman, same brand, same color.
Teresa Terrelson didn't have a lipstick message.
Technically, you're right, Rusty. She didn't have any lipstick. But she did have a message. We found it beneath her dress, scraped with a sharp stick.
What did it say?
You sure you want to know?
Ray?
As far as we can be sure, it said cunt BD.
That's one way of looking at it.
Looking at what?
Cunt is all about access, Phelps. You're married, so yours is mortgaged. Some of us like to pay by installments. This guy doesn't like to pay at all.
Why are you so angry, Mal?
Because I just had to fire one of my assistants. He was a friend of Jameson's. God knows what he might have been up to.
Captain, we have good leads in the Summers case, but it's up to you to decide how we proceed.
Keep this under your hat for now. And to follow up on Evelyn Summers, I want daily reports.
We got our orders. Back to the Summers case. Get an address for McCaffrey. He'll have blown the bar. I'll meet you outside.
I say we bust in there and find the goddamn evidence.
Ah, mano, sai fora.
Operator, give me R&I.
Putting you through now.
Phelps, badge 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need an address for a Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Grosvenor McCaffrey. Apartment 6, 126 Yale Street between Ord and Alpine.
Thanks for your help.
Mas assim, o cara só tá dificultando mais ainda as evidências, mas ele só tá jogando com a polícia.
Let me pose a question.
Depends. What's it got to do with?
Morals. Would it bother you to put the wrong person away?
Depends.
On what?
On whether anyone except the poor son of a bitch in the slammer ever found out. Phelps!
Continua o diálogo, a culpa não foi minha. Puta merda, não vai voltar o diálogo. Continua o diálogo, mano. Não. Mas agora eu tô... Cara... Esse maluco é um serial killer? E ele só tá jogando com os caras são mó burro, né? Pra até agora, sei lá, não ter a menor ideia de quem seja, mesmo depois de, sei lá, não ser as primeiras vezes que ele tá fazendo isso. Tipo, eles só fecharam um caso porque acharam que o cara sumiu. Mas não é assim que as coisas funcionam, né? Estadunidense é assim, né, mesmo? Esse cara é complicado, preguiçoso. Ok, o que eu tô falando? Eu não conseguiria fazer isso mais? É? Mas eu não desistiria tão fácil. E eu quero esse conversível.
Hello, Rusty. Two on your usual lane?
I'm Detective Phelps. Homicide.
You must be new. What's your shoe size?
This is business, Florence. You got a guy works here by the name of Tiernan?
Sure we do. He's a pin setter. Clears the jams, works the gutters. Go right in. He'll be hopping around the lanes toward the back. He's a nice boy.
Thanks, ma'am. Let's go get him.
A Bia já devia estar aposentada, mano. É aquele ali correndo? Acho que é, né?
Tiernan! LAPD!
É, ele mesmo. Toda hora alguém correndo. Ó, o meu cu, né? Ah, perseguição de carro.
There.
Ó. Aí, achei pica.
What are you waiting for? Get after him.
We might go faster if we weren't carrying the extra weight. These are flashy cars to be parked outside a bowling alley.
The lanes attract a fast-living individual with money to burn.
Or a middle-aged individual with the need to feel virile.
Keep it steady and I'll try to bust his tires.
Vamos lá, brother. Atira, mano.
Hit it. Clean this asshole off the road.
Caralho, esse carro aqui é muito bom.
Why do they always run? I'm sure we've got the wrong person in more than one of these homicides, but they always seem to lam it.
You know, your theories are not airtight by any means.
Mas o cara também é bom, né?
You gotta get me closer.
Eu tô tentando tirar ele da estrada. Gênio.
Hit him, Cole. Spit him out.
If this isn't a killer, we can at least get him for reckless endangerment.
That's unless he runs into a wall and saves us all the trouble.
Caralho, o cara é muito bom dirigindo.
Wish me luck.
Whoa, looks like we're going into the tunnels.
Eita porra. Ai, que bosta. Me fudo de meu carro agora. Tá muito escuro. Vamos lá. Esteja preso.
Hands behind
behind your head.
Ah, adorei o carro. Será que eu posso ficar com ele? E ele era um bom garoto, segundo a velhinha ali, né? Ah, mas rapaz. Rapaz. Esse carro é meu agora. Este carro é meu. Apartamento de McCraft. Lá no apartamento do... Esse carro é meu agora. Azar. De quem era o dono. Olha isso, velho. Isso aqui é um jato. Quem não cuidou, perdeu. Agora é meu. Tá. Até que velocidade será que isso vai? Só tô acelerando, cara. E ouvindo o sonzinho do motor. Isso que é vida, cara. Podia fazer isso aqui o dia todo. Pena que a gasolina tá 8 conto. Obrigado, Bolsonaro. Não era ele que queria diminuir o preço da gasolina a 3 e pouco? Então. Agora tá 8 reais. Tem que trazer a Dilma de volta. Tá foda, mano. Tem que trazer a Dilma, cara. Vamos lá. Onde que é essa porra? Faço menor ideia. Opa! E aqui? Aqui, tá bom. O AP do brother. Olha o carrão ali estacionado. Carrão da polícia, pô. Confia. É pra isso que vocês pagam impostos. Pra dar carro de luxo. Vamos lá. Onde que é mesmo? Não lembro mais. Ah, vamos só subindo.
Doesn't look like anybody's home.
Terrible shame. Means there's nobody to let us in.
Bora.
Honors, Phelps.
Bruto. Comidinha. Pratinho. Roupinha. Mesinha com...
Doesn't look like anything.
Ah, vá merda, mano. Abre essa merda. Pelo amor. Caralho, vai limpar essa janela, moço. Roupinha. Cara, é um porco, hein? Nossa. Ah, sangue. É ele.
He said he was at home. He said he didn't know her. And we have the book.
Let's see Carruthers argue his way out of this one.
Is that you, Grosvenor? Who are you guys? What are you doing in here?
We're from the LAPD, ma'am. Do you know where we might find McCaffrey?
I'm his neighbor. Is he in trouble?
Look, lady, we need to find him, and in a hurry. Are you gonna give me trouble?
He has a pigeon coop up on the roof. He spends his mornings up there when he's been drinking.
How do we get up there?
Down the hall and up the stairs.
Mas eu queria investigar o resto.
Drunk in command of a carrier pigeon. Surely we can write him up for that. A citation, at least.
Eu queria investigar o resto. Ah, aqui o resto da carta.
Torn from the letter we found beside the body. At the very least, I'd say it ties McCaffrey to the scene.
Oh. Já sabemos quem é o culpado.
Nope.
Mais nada? Beleza. E a blusa aí tu não vai olhar, não? Isso mesmo, pela bunda do coleguinha. Tá, vamos lá pra cima, então. Cadê a velha? E aí, velha? Tu abriu? Abre essa merda, velho. E aqui? Vou ter que subir. Ah, tá.
That's the guy. I heard he's an honest cop. Now that's an oxymoron for you.
Obrigada. Era aqui mesmo. Tem alguma coisa aqui? Não.
Grosvenor McCaffrey! Running on a hangover, McCaffrey? Sit down and we'll talk.
Pra onde o cara foi? Não sei pra onde ele foi. Ah, pra quê? Cara, já não seria a primeira vez que eu... Não! Que alguém fica brincando com coisa de pombo, né? Elvis, por que tu foi subir de novo essa parada? A humilhante tá fugindo agora. Tô indo, relaxa. Confia, confia. Confia, cidadão. Cara, o cara corre bem, hein? Calma, tô indo. Caramba. Tô indo. Chegando. Boa.
McCaffrey, you're under arrest on suspicion of murdering Evelyn Summers.
Realmente. Tava na cara, caralho. Ele tava com as roupas parecidas. Qual roupas que ele usa?
We need to get downtown and wrap this thing up. It's got to be McCaffrey. Unless Harrington set him up. You don't think that asshole Jameson will, do you?
How do you know that McCaffrey didn't do the doggy?
We have a list of over 200 suspects. His name was never on it.
If you think the list is exhaustive, Rusty, who am I to argue?
Listen, let's just work the case at hand, shall we? Then we can sit down and put all the puzzle pieces together at a later date.
I'll hold you to that.
Cara, essa galera tá deixando tão por baixo dos panos esse rolê do maluco aí, do lobisomem, né? Cara, deve ser alguém poderoso ou ligado à polícia. Porque não faz sentido. Não faz o menor sentido os caras ficar passando tanto pano pra isso. É um serial killer, velho. Vamos fazer alguma coisa? Bora trabalhar. Ó, o poçante pica, hein? Brabo.
You sure you can make it stick with one of these suspects, gentlemen?
It's either McCaffrey or Tiernan, sir. I think Jameson is an aberration.
All right. I'll deal with that degraded lunatic myself. He's got some fearful retribution coming. Tiernan isn't one, McCaffrey isn't two. I want a confession from one of them. Don't fail me, young fellas.
Vamos aqui no 2.
You ready to answer some questions?
You think I have all the answers?
People who run from the police usually have something to hide.
Touché, detective. Let's see where this takes us.
You told us you barely knew Evelyn Summers.
She hung around sometimes. I had very little to do with her.
Dúvida, né?
Doesn't look good, Grosvenor.
It's either you or Tiernan from where we're sitting.
Personally, I think Evelyn is better off, but I had nothing to do with it.
Merda.
Evelyn died sometime around midnight. Remind me, where were you?
I was at home, writing. I'm working on a manuscript.
Mentira, então?
You're lying, McCaffrey. You were out at the rail yard. And what do you have that proves I was there?
Sim. Chave de roda.
You're going to have to do better than that, detective.
Oh, no.
It's either going to be you or Tiernan, Grosvenor.
Make it stick, detective. The party has good lawyers.
Que merda.
Guy gave his wife a tap. I said, all fair in love and war.
Eu errei tudo.
Guy gave his wife a tap.
Cadê a sala?
Say all's fair in love and war.
A sala 1 mesmo?
That bum took a swipe at me. I put him down with my staff.
Escreveu. Escreveu. Aqui.
Why did you run, Tiernan?
I was the last one to see Evelyn that night. I knew you would think it was me.
Can you describe your relationship with Evelyn?
I barely knew Evelyn.
Sounds like half an answer to me, Tiernan. Were you sleeping with her?
That's none of your business.
Merda!
Aristotle's Metaphysics, the book that belonged to McCaffrey.
McCaffrey saw her looking at it once and laughed in her face.
And you're saying Evelyn stole it?
She wanted something of his.
É que eu acho que ele tá falando a verdade.
You don't like McCaffrey, do you, Tiernan?
He's full of the common man routine, but he props up a bar like the rest of us. Evelyn thought he was going to be a great novelist. And he had nothing but vitriol for her.
You and Evelyn were drinking together last night, and she had no other place to stay.
I don't know what happened last night. I don't remember.
You're lying, Tiernan. You'd been fighting with her. You fought, and...
I'm not lying! She got up and left! That was it! Don't talk about how it was between me and Evelyn. You don't know anything.
Cara, que merda.
Do you own a car, Tiernan?
No, I don't.
Have access to a lug wrench?
Eu errei essa pergunta com o maluco. Que merda.
Pin setting machines.
Coroner's report says that Evelyn was killed with a wrench. I think you did it and then planted the evidence at McCaffrey's apartment for us to find.
We went to his apartment. McCaffrey was up on the roof. Evelyn stole the book. McCaffrey went crazy when he found out. He said he would put her out of her misery. He can be very cruel.
Evelyn was missing a ring from her right hand.
That's strange. She always wore it. A big black circular disc with a white E in the middle. It was made from an old typewriter key, a present from the prop department at her old movie studio.
We're going to talk to McCaffrey. You need to think about what you've told us, Tiernan. You're not in the clear.
Peraí. Será que vai dar de resolver? Eita porra, cadê o telefone?
Operator, give me dispatch.
Eu deveria ter usado a carta naquela hora. Agora já era.
Phelps, 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need the jacket on a Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Just a moment, Detective. McCaffrey was formerly under surveillance by the Red Squad. Convictions for petty theft. Dishonorable discharge from the Army during training at Syracuse. Assault on a local woman. Says he almost beat the woman to death.
Thanks, ma'am.
Olha, olha, olha.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of moving up to a 40.
Olá, voltei.
Put him down to 1 round.
We found the lug wrench that Evelyn was battered with in your apartment, and the note from her mother, and your blood-stained clothing. We have you cold, McCaffrey.
You think if I could be bothered to murder Evelyn Summers, I would be stupid enough to leave the evidence in my apartment?
You were in the war?
Yes, I was. Seeing the things that I saw, it changes a man.
Tá.
I came back here determined to change things. All I wanted was a pen and an opportunity to speak out.
You told us before that you had only minor run-ins with the police. You didn't mention petty theft.
I've never been in trouble for violence. That's the salient point here, isn't it?
You're holding out on us, McCaffrey. What other trouble have you been in?
I was in a few labor disputes before the war. I didn't use my real name.
Puta que pariu, eu errei tudo, velho. Que merda. Eu devia ter, sei lá, usado mentira. Esse aqui pelo menos é importante a princípio.
I want to make homicide. I mean, you know you've made it if you got that death.
Ok. Terceira tentativa.
Tiernan?
I was the last one to see Evelyn that night. I knew you would think it was me.
Can you describe your relationship with Evelyn?
I barely knew Evelyn.
Keep lying to me and I'll have you charged and in front of a grand jury before your feet touch the ground.
How can you possibly prove Evelyn and I were more than friends? How come this is so hard to believe? A man and a woman getting along, liking each other just as friends.
Puta merda, como assim?
Aristotle's Metaphysics, the book that belonged to McCaffrey.
McCaffrey saw her looking at her once and laughed in her face.
And you're saying Evelyn stole it.
She wanted something of his.
We either hang this on you or McCaffrey. You better give us something.
Well, McCaffrey's been in trouble with the law before. I mean, he always makes out it was some kind of labor dispute. But, you know, I'm not so sure.
Mm-hmm.
You and Evelyn were drinking together last night, and she had no other place to stay.
I don't know what happened last night. I don't remember.
You're lying, Tiernan. You'd been fighting with her. You fought, and...
I'm not lying! She got up and left! That was it!
She left, but she came back. She bought you a quart of whiskey to make it up to you. She told the liquor store owner. You're in deep trouble, buddy.
She said she loved me. She wanted to care for me. But she would never stop talking about McCaffrey. McCaffrey was a writer, McCaffrey was a hero, McCaffrey cared for the little guy.
Did you kill her, Tiernan?
I might as well have. I kicked her out. She had nowhere to go.
Do you own a car, Tiernan?
No, I don't.
Have access to a lug wrench?
Well, we use a lot of them to clear jams in the pin setting machines. No, don't go! We both want the truth here.
Calma.
Do you own a car, Tiernan?
No, I don't.
Have access to a lug wrench?
Well, we use a lot of them to clear jams in the pin setting machines.
Dúvida?
Coroner's report says that Evelyn was killed with a wrench. I think you did it and then planted the evidence at McCaffrey's apartment for us to find.
We went to his apartment. McCaffrey was up on the roof. Evelyn stole the book. McCaffrey went crazy when he found out. He said he would put her out of her misery. He can be very cruel.
Evelyn was missing a ring from her right hand.
That's strange. She always wore it. Big black circular disc with a white E in the middle. It was made from an old typewriter key, a present from the prop department at her old movie studio.
We're going to talk to McCaffrey. You need to think about what you've told us, Tiernan. You're not in the clear.
Mouthpiece tore strips off me at the grand jury. Case got thrown out. Now the DA wants my head.
Mas eu acho que eu já usei a acusação do anel. E não deu certo mesmo assim. Ei, meu bom.
You ready to answer some
Que talvez não
questions?
seja tão bom
You
assim.
think I have all the answers?
People who run from the police usually have something to hide.
Ah, é mesmo?
Touché, detective. Let's see where this takes us.
You told us you barely knew Evelyn Summers.
She hung around sometimes. I had very little to do with her.
Mentira, né?
You'll have to do better than that, Grosvenor. We know about you and Evelyn.
Evelyn was a lush, and a boring one at that. You can't link her to me.
Carta. Carta.
Seems there's a serious gulf between what you think you know and what you actually do, detective.
Evelyn died sometime around midnight. Remind me, where were you?
I was at home, writing. I'm working on a manuscript.
You're lying, McCaffrey. You were out at the rail yard.
And what do you have that proves I was there?
Será que é isso?
You're going to have to do better than that, detective.
We found the lug wrench that Evelyn was battered with in your apartment, and the note from her mother, and your blood-stained clothing. We have you cold, McCaffrey.
You think if I could be bothered to murder Evelyn Summers, I would be stupid enough to leave the evidence in my apartment?
If it was planted there, then some evil mastermind must be at work here. You got a name, McCaffrey?
Tiernan. Who else?
I was under the impression you thought Tiernan incapable of tying his own shoelaces.
It's either going to be you or Tiernan, Grosvenor.
Make it stick, detective. The party has good lawyers.
Cara, esse tá difícil, velho.
I saved a whole year for that car. That bum took a swipe at me. I put him down with my sack.
Operator, give me dispatch.
Putting you through now.
Phelps, batch 1247.
How can I help, Detective?
I need the jacket on a Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Just a moment, Detective. McCaffrey was formerly under surveillance by the Red Squad. Convictions for petty theft. Dishonorable discharge from the Army during training at Syracuse. Assault on a local woman. Says he almost beat the woman to death.
Thanks for your help.
I want to make homicide. I mean, you know you've made it if you got that death.
Cara, eu tô puta porque eu não sei o que fazer. Tipo, tá sempre dando as mesmas respostas e tá sempre dando as mesmas questões.
You were in the war?
Yes, I was. Seeing the things that I saw. It changes a man. I came back here determined to change things. All I wanted was a pen and an opportunity to speak out.
You told us before that you had only minor run-ins with the police. You didn't mention petty theft.
I've never been in trouble for violence. That's the salient point here, isn't it?
You're You're lying, McCaffrey. You have a history of violence towards women.
How do you turn a couple parking tickets and a petty theft misdemeanor into an assault charge?
We know all about you and your dishonorable discharge, beating some poor woman near to death in Syracuse. You've never been in combat, McCaffrey. Your whole life is a fraud.
She was a goddamn peasant whore. She tried to steal from my wallet. I could have fought for this country. I could have.
You beat her because she stole from you, because she tried to outsmart you.
The ignorant audacity of the bitch. What is a man supposed to do? Sit there and take it? How is a man supposed to call himself a man?
And Evelyn Summers, a poor, drunken nobody, stole your book.
And she got what was coming to her.
Que psicopata do caralho.
Grosvenor McCaffrey, I'm charging you with the murder of Evelyn Summers. She was a sad lady who never hurt anyone except herself. I hope God finds a way to forgive you.
Congratulations, boys. You bagged the fine catch. Another red to boot. Grand. Now, I want you to put this business about a repeat offender out of your mind. This McCaffrey creature shows no remorse. And neither will the grand jury.
Realmente.
You would have to walk a long mile to find a better candidate for an unmarked plot in the prison graveyard.
Ele é um dos caras que aparece nos flashbacks também? Acho que sim. Errei quase tudo. Roseanne pode escrever suas histórias reveladoras na sua cela, no corredor da morte. Caralho. Ah, beleza. Então ficamos por aqui. E continuaremos com o jogo depois. Porque isso foi demorado pra um cacete.